In this video, we'll be exporting data from context capture to an Orbit GT run, and from that Orbit GT run, we'll subsequently move the data up to the 3DM cloud, create a production on the 3DM cloud, and share the production. So to start, we'll look at context capture, and under our reconstruction, we have many files in both metric and English units. We're going to focus on the metric export at this time, as for a new user, it will be the least complex. So we'll start with the CCM model. So the CCM model has no preview. CCM tile is simply JavaScript tiles, and we can see that this uses an Earth-centered coordinate system. This is the only coordinate system available during the output. We will be exporting a point cloud, which we've set to a UTM zone, and of course we'll be exporting imagery and so forth also. So we're going to go back to our block, arrow triangulation, to the export tab, and we're going to simply export to an Orbit 3DM run. So I have a folder set up, and I'll select that folder. In our case, we'll be exporting imagery, a mesh, and a point cloud. We'll skip the orthophoto and the DEM at this time. We're going to use links to the input data. So essentially what that means is, rather than copy the imagery to our Orbit 3DM run, we're going to link it to where the data resides on our machine. For this to work, the data has to be in the same location that it was when we constructed these models. So we're going to click export. So this process could take a couple minutes depending on the number of images and the size of the point cloud that we're exporting. Once the Orbit 3DM run's been successfully created, we can open the folder and just have a look at the data generated. So in our data, we're going to focus on the mapping. In the mapping run folder, we'll see we have our mesh, and then we have multiple photo groups of planar imagery. These photo groups will coincide with the number of photo groups in your block that you exported. And then finally, we have a point cloud. So notice we have the mesh, the point cloud, and imagery all within the Orbit mapping run. So with that, we can now go into Orbit. So we're going to use the upload utility. So we'll open the Orbit 3DM import and upload tool. Once our import and upload tools open, we'll grab our OMR file and we'll drag and drop it into Orbit's import and upload utility. The process will allow us to start the import. And it'll start by creating or importing the point cloud. The point cloud will probably take the majority of the time to import the mapping run into our Orbit. And the reason is because at this time it's actually generating what we call an OPC, or an optimized point cloud. So if we open this up, so you can see it's now reading the points, and this, depending on the size of the point cloud, the time to upload will vary. Once the import's completed, we'll have our point cloud and our JPEG files are all now linked, along with the mesh imported and the envelope created. So now that our mapping run's been imported, close our dialog and go to the aerial mapping tab and just verify that the images are coming in. So we'll select a position, and then it shows up with our point cloud and image on top of the point cloud. So we can change the view mode if you like, but all we're doing is verifying the data is here. So before we can upload now to our mapping cloud extension, we will first need to optimize the imagery. So if we go to our catalog and we look at aerial, we'll see the mapping run here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to review the image availability. So on the right hand side, we see that 3DMV is red, And this is because we have 55 planers and no processed images. So we need to process or optimize the imagery. So we'll come into aerial mapping, optimize imagery, and we'll set our quality and we'll begin optimizing the imagery. So this will take a little while depending on the number of images and the size of the image. After the images are all optimized, we can now go back to our mapping run in the catalog and review the image availability. And next we will review the data for the 3DM viewer. So 2 steps. This will just take a few seconds. So what we have is the 8 directories, 1899 photo positions, but 1906 images and 1062 processed images. So there's some disparity there. So what we're going to do, because there's a disparity, we're going to clean that up a little bit before we try to upload it. So we'll go to the edit run. So these are all deleting the missing planar images or photo positions, etc. So we're going to just go through and delete any of these that are missing, and then there's nothing to delete. So at this time we can come back over and we can review image availability. And review data for the 3DM viewer. And now everything is green. So we're able to now upload the data. So we'll go into our extension, 3D Mapping Cloud Upload, and I'll sign in. We want to go to our catalog, and we see our mapping cloud. And so we want to choose mapping runs, and here's the mapping run. Choose our data center. Accept our terms and conditions, and click Start Now. So this will take some time depending on the size of our project that we're uploading. Once our upload's completed, we can now open our console. We'll log in. So I'm going to go to My Catalog and Resources, and I'm going to search only on my name, and I'm looking for Mapping Run. So here's the file, and I have several called Mapping Run, but I know this is the largest, and I'm going to click on the 3 dots on the side and click View Resource. Now I can see my resource, and I can set this up how I want it. So I can change the layout, and I can add base maps and so forth. So we won't go into detail here, but we can, at this time, we can set this up how we want to. And once we're happy with our web view, we're going to want to go up here to the 3 buttons and create a publication. And this will be our and now we can open this up. In the console, we can add any relevant information, and we want to share this. We can now go down to our publications, and we can now see Climber PA test. We can set tokens or change the settings to share. So if I want to share this with guest users, I can click Manage. and share the URL with guest users. So this way, by providing the URL, we can share this with users. So that concludes this video, and hope it's helpful. Thank you.